Hey guys, welcome back to another Cultured Boys discussion. I'm Pepe and I'm joined by Nathan, and this is the last in the series of our One Piece film watching thing that we've been doing over 5 episodes. We've watched Strong World, we've watched Zed, we've watched Gold, we've watched Stampede, and now we're finishing this off with One Piece film Red.
Yeah.
The most modern one, the one that came out in 2022 and actually has Shanks in it as well, so that was a big selling point for it.
The most advertised one just in the
Yes.
history of One Piece movies.
100%. Yeah. This is one that came out in cinemas as well. Like everywhere kind of got it. This is like kind of like where One Piece is actually proper hitting its stride as well. Like this is like everyone knows about it at this point. It's like it's super popular in the West. Like it's finally getting its flowers at this point. But yeah, One Piece film. How are you, Nathan? Are you doing good?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. Right. Let's before we get into film Red, let's actually do the quick rundown, shall we? Before
Yep.
anything else.
One Piece film Red, screenplay by Tsutomu Kuroiwa, animated by Toei Animation, released August 6th, 2022, runtime of 115 minutes. Uta, the most beloved singer on the planet, is known for hiding her own identity when performing. Now, for the first time, she will reveal herself to the world. Thank you, IMDb. That is an awful description of
Yeah,
what this
it's
movie
like
is.
it doesn't give you anything about what the actual movie is. Like you think like that makes it feel like it's really obviously, yeah, it is focused on Uta, don't get me wrong. But like very different kind that probably summarizes the first 5 minutes of the film. Like when again, like when this film was advertised as well though, like Uta wasn't it doesn't appear to you that Uta is the villain of this as well.
No.
That's one thing. Again, spoilers again. We did this disclaimer at the start of all these One Piece movie episodes. There is gonna be spoilers in this. But yeah, advertising this film, you don't get the premise that this is about Uta. Like you actually don't really get sold what the film actually is. You just know that it Shanks in it at some point, and Uta's like Shanks's daughter. If you do the tiniest bit of research, and then that, and Ado is another. I remember like when this did come out, everyone's like, okay, this is basically One Piece the musical, in the fact that there were so many musical numbers in it.
But that's also
New Genesis, which is
because of the Sing fruit.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, it makes complete sense. If Uta is a singer, then yeah, he's gonna be singing. Again, they've got like a really established artist on as well. Ado be doing Uta's singing voice.
Yes.
Like, and obviously when these songs did come out as well, they obviously dominated the charts in Japan. Like when this film came out. But film Red. In comparison to all the ones we've seen so far, what are your initial thoughts, Nathan?
It's not bad. I like it, but I still think for me, Film Gold takes it.
Yeah.
I would say Red is probably second out of the 5 we've watched. Like second or third. I feel like Red and Zed swap places depending on my mood.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, but yeah, like it's good. It's good. I like it. It's funny, again, even though I know these songs came from this movie, now that I've watched the movie, it's like getting context for when these songs appear, because I've just heard them on our playlist and just generally. So it's like, oh, okay. Right. So they have a purpose in the film.
Yeah. It's quite cool to actually see these integrated into the film as much as it is as well. I get like for film Red, I'm kind of in two minds about it because I think it does well. It gives us backstory for like a bit of backstory for Shanks, a bit of backstory for Uta. Again, Ichiro Oda this is the most he's been involved with a film since Gold as well. So like Uta is canon within the One Piece universe,
Mm,
but probably not all events in this are canon. It's the same as Shiki. That Shiki is canon within the universe, but the
the
events of
event,
that movie
yeah.
probably, yeah. um so again, like, Oda had like quite a lot of, and I think as well when it came down to Shanks, obviously because Shanks is quite integral part to this movie as well.
Mm,
Like I think he was very much like he oversaw the whole thing in terms of like, yeah, that Shanks moves, yep, that checks out. He would do that kind of thing, like his power scaling as well, like fighting the admirals. Like there's a lot of stuff that
mm.
Oda oversaw of that. Um,
I mean,
and
he'd have to, because by that point, like,
yeah.
we still hadn't even really seen Shanks kind
Mm.
of do anything.
No, yeah, because I think when I tell people where to watch these One Piece films or when to watch them, like I'd say this is always one I'd say watch after Wano. I'd say because
Yeah.
obviously at the end of it as well, you do get the brief look at Gear 5, even
Mm,
though it's nowhere near the scale of like
yeah.
what we see in Gear 5 now in the anime. It still is the first look at the form. Oh yeah, this was the first ever this is the first time anyone actually ever saw Gear 5 in anime form as well.
Mm.
So this came out before like we actually saw it in the actual anime. So it was cool little thing for the fans to be like, oh look, there it is, there it is. I remember in the when I saw this in the cinema, I was like, ah, it's that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, like it's and obviously you've seen some parts of the film as well where Usopp's getting his observation haki. Like he used it
Yeah.
again for the first time since we saw him do it in Dressrosa. So it's a cool thing there. Some cool shout outs to like certain characters. Not as many egregious cameos as it
Yes.
was in Stampede.
They
There were
they reeled
cameos,
it
don't get me
back
wrong, but
a
yes.
lot. But again, Stampede's cameos within the context of the movie makes sense why there's so
Mhm.
many of them.
Yeah.
This, if they did it in film red, would be incredibly egregious just to be like, just because. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
but like, I wouldn't, like, you can believe certain characters would be a fan of Uta, so they would want to go see
Mhm.
a concert. There are other characters that you're like, I would not believe. Like, for example, if Crocodile just appears out of nowhere, I'm like,
Yeah.
get the fuck out.
Yeah.
No.
No need. No need.
Right? I could see them. I mean, okay. Behind the scenes, I have Film Red
Mhm.
playing on my TV right now.
Mhm.
As of recording, so I'm looking. And the one I don't believe, but I can see them writing it that way for like a strange like comedy effect and also convenient to have them there, is Bluno.
Right, yeah, and I think by the sounds of it as well, that was more mission wise rather than actual.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruno's a very like has a lot to do in this as well, which is a very strange thing because this
I mean,
side
his
character,
power
like,
is like the most useful for it,
a hundred
like,
percent, yeah, like it does make sense. Like obviously his cooperation with Kobe and Helmeppo in this as well.
yeah,
All it makes sense, but it's so random that he's in it. Like this character who got
exactly.
beat down in like Ennis Lobby, and like Lucci was always the main enemy of that. And we've seen Lucci in the past couple films, and again Lucci making a small cameo here or there where he's basically just organize a projector for the fucking for the Five Elders, which is quite funny as well. But yeah, it's and obviously your smaller scale CP0 members as well. Khalifa is in this as well.
Yeah.
Khalifa. For some reason, I feel like I feel like I just said the name of a Dragon Ball Z character.
It's
Khalifa is and Khalifa is the One Piece character. Khalifa
Yeah.
is the Dragon. Freaking hell! Yeah,
I
I just a moment there was like,
I always get
wait,
that mixed
what?
up.
Yeah. But
Literally
those two
always
characters.
get it mixed up.
So I kind of think it
It's
makes
fine.
sense with those two characters being here. So like that, like no major like enemies are here basically for it.
Mm.
Like it makes sense with those two just to keep an eye on things. And then Kobe and Himepo also there as sword members as well, also
Yeah.
make sense. So like all the characters that feel like, wait, why are they there? It's explained. Like it is given the reasons. So it's fine with that. Like obviously Bartolomeo makes sense. I can see that like
I mean, he's that's the most like believable. Like, oh, he's just a super fan of
Mhm.
fucking anything because he's already just a super fan of Luffy in general. So
Yeah. Just completely checks out. And obviously he had Beppo as well with his little costume
yeah,
that he had on, like a huge fan of Uta. Uh, and Beppo's like brings some good comedy in this film, I will say. There's like that because there's that one moment with where like what's his name? Gordon is trapped and like because Uta's like just like
mm.
kind of like held him there while he's attached to the musical notes and then he's just trying to teach Beppo to sing. He's like, me, and then Beppo's like, "Ah!" just screaming at him, and then he's like, hey, you did it, and Beppo's like, yay! Like this little bear thing. It's quite cute, I will say it's quite cute.
Okay, there is one part that I just don't quite understand.
I feel like I know what you're gonna say.
What was the need to turn Sunny
Yep.
into a
Yeah. I also asked myself this question. The only thing I can really think of is um maybe to like okay, two answers here.
Mhm.
One, so the Straw Hats can't escape, even though they
Yeah.
wouldn't really because it's the song world, so it wouldn't have really made as much sense anyway.
Yeah.
Two is merchandise
Okay,
because
yeah. Two
yeah,
two is the obvious, like,
yeah.
yeah, fair
Yeah, same with Beppo
business.
and little mini
Yeah.
Bruno as well. These three chibi
Yeah.
motherfuckers is there.
All of that checks out. The first reason also makes sense.
hmm
Although,
In the
like you said,
loosest kind of
it's
thing,
not.
yeah.
Yeah, the loosest sense, like
Yeah,
they couldn't escape anyway, or whatever.
because it's only up to a certain point where you realize, oh, this is the song world and this is the
Mm.
real world. Because you're led to believe that the song world is the real world for quite a while, and then yeah, then you find out, oh, a power that like on my previous watch throughs, I feel like I understood a bit more, but in the latest one, I was like, wait, how does this work again? I think I got lost in it this newest time round. Um, Again, like I feel some of the pacing in this film is a struggle for me. I feel like there's a lot of
Mhm.
it that goes on. It's like, okay, cool, get to the point. There's Uta trying to chase Luffy around, all this kind of stuff, like their like army of fans and stuff. And I'm just kind of like, okay, it just drags on a bit. I feel it's quite it's a tough one to follow of all things from Stampede because Stampede had a lot going on. There was like action going on quite a lot during the film. Whereas this one, there was a lot of downtime, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of like backstory. The backstory wasn't fully given that point, and then it was given at that point. Like,
I
yeah,
think that's the difference, though, isn't it? Is that
yeah,
because Stampede pretty much was just the action film,
yeah.
and this is trying to put a new character, a
Hmm.
wholly new character, and
Yeah,
slot them in so that you believably think that they've always been there and that they have a connection to the
yeah,
main character and they've always just existed, like it's got a tougher job because
yeah.
its purpose is different. But I agree with you, there are a lot of times where it's just kind of like, okay, like for me it was funny enough, some of the backstory, like, because it starts
Mm.
off and it's like, oh, the concert, and then Luffy goes over and says hi, and then and then she's like, cool, what's it? We're gonna sing another song, and now all the fans get to watch me just hang out with my friend
Yeah,
and catch up and be goofy, and I'm like, okay, it's nice, but like, I don't need to see this, like. Outside of the one game where they use it to establish, like, oh, we've always played this game and she's always
yeah.
tricked Luffy to win. I didn't need to see other bits.
No, if
You
you
know
were
what
a
I mean?
concert,
Like,
if you pay, like, I don't know how much they would have paid to see this. I don't know if they did. Um, If you and then you just saw the singer just having this random thing, you'd be like, okay, cool. I don't really feel involved in this. Like, and
Well, again, there's
like
like
again,
the whole
like
scene
yeah,
where they're just eating. They made curry for fuck's sake in the
yeah,
middle of this whole arena, quote unquote, and they just all fucking sat there eating curry.
yeah. A lot of it just felt a little bit unnecessary to me. Like, 'cause I think compared to a lot of the other films, like it kind of was a bit more snappier. I think like you'd get the conversation between villain and like the crew and
Mm,
stuff like that, but they'd like it'd move quite quickly after that. But this was like, okay, cool, I get it. Okay, cool. And then you got like this whole thing of like Bartolomeo and Law rolling Luffy up a hill in the orb and
yeah,
stuff like that. I think that was the bit where I was like, come on, get on with it a bit. This is like this feels like long.
but Pepe, how are they supposed to give you exposition?
Yeah, like all of it just is
You know, as if everything after that also isn't more exposition.
yeah. Like I don't feel like it really gets into like the meat and potatoes of the film until probably like about three-quarters the way in. There's stuff about the straw hats in the library just tearing up stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think some of it is relevant, and then other bits just feel like, okay, yeah, it's fighting for the
But
sake of it.
again,
Yeah.
if they don't tear up the library, Pepe, how do you get your exposition?
Yeah, and it's like the top music and stuff, all of it kind of like it all makes sense in the end. And you do get there in the end, but I feel like it's so slow with it as well. Like the first time I watched it, I was great, but any rewatch after it, you really do see the cracks in it. I feel like um that's how I felt about it anyway. Because when I saw it in cinemas, I thought, hey, this is a good film. I quite enjoyed this. And then it's like the subsequent rewatches after. I think I remember watching it with a mate at one point, like last year. And then we were just like, I think we got halfway through and like, fucking hell, the pacing in this is mad. Like, it's.
it's it's fine, you know.
Yeah.
Again, coming right off a Stampede, it's a pretty good film.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, again, Stampede is the one where you just like turn brain off, let it
Yes.
happen. This one is
Fights after fight. Like, no, you don't need to
yeah,
think. It's just fight after fight. This is like lore. There's lore dump. There's lore dump. There's
yeah.
this.
This one you can't
Yeah.
really turn your brain off because like you will miss something, and then the rest of it might not make sense.
Yeah.
And like again, I can appreciate what it's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to expand the world through a movie
Mm-hmm.
and give more context for other characters like Shanks, who by
Mm-hmm.
that point we haven't really learned much about. We just know he exists and he's doing something. To which, I mean, even to this day, even in the manga, I'm like, okay, I know more about him, but modern day Shanks, I just know exists and is
Yeah.
doing something.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we is the thing is with Shanks at this point in the story is that before Shanks was a mystery, like we knew he was off
Mm,
doing bits, but you never knew what. And now we know he's doing bits, but now we also know a bit of family lineage and we know that he can use a move. And then other than that, we still know
yeah,
that he's doing bits. It's more than we know about
and that he
Dragon, let's put
has
it that
a
way.
daughter.
Yeah,
Like,
that's it. That we now know bits and pieces. Like we have a bit more context about his crew, for example. We know like, oh, there's these people. Again, we don't know exactly what their moves are. We know there's people there. There's that we know some of their roles a bit more. Like, but yeah, like I think it's cool to see Shanks in this, like interact with his crew a bit more. Like you see a bit more of his crew. Like again, stuff that we
yeah,
knew about Shanks from the get go, from the first episode of Shanks's crew. Like stuff that he doesn't want to harm the citizens and stuff like that. It's
mm,
like we're gonna do this with no casualties, boys. Like he's taking the hits. That's one thing. Like all these civilians are like just gang up on him, just like they're gang up on the whole crew trying to take him down, and he's just taking he's not fighting back. He's like, I'm just gonna take these hits and we can move on. It's quite, you know what he stands for as a character in that, even though I still feel there's something dubious about him in the series. I still don't trust him completely, but um You
I
get a bit more
mean,
of that.
something's got to
Yeah,
happen at some point, but
yeah,
that's a
that's a
different
completely
discussion.
different thing. But yeah,
Um,
it's cool to see that bit, and obviously him trying to make reparations with his daughter as well. Like obviously obviously because a lot of stuff went down, the backstory and that, like all the kind of stuff went down, and yeah, okay, it's fine.
I guess huge spoilers because it's like pretty much right at the end of the film. But I like that cheeky little oh, she's not she has a similar history to Shanks. She was also found in a chest.
Yes, it's quite a big thing as well. Like I think even at that point in the movie, like they I think quite early on they say, "Oh, she does that mean she has Figalan blood as well?" Because that was
Mm.
like quite early. That's a quite a deep cut reference. If you miss it, then you're like, "No, what the fuck does that mean?" And you actually mean that they know, like at this point, the elders know that Shanks is obviously Figalan's son and stuff like that. He's got that heritage there, and
Well, that's
it's
also like, isn't that the first time anyone even knew Shanks's like lineage
yeah, that was
in
I
like One
think
Piece history? That's like the first time you would have heard that, right?
that was yeah 100 because that's 2022, so it probably would have been roughly yeah because when we found out when we first saw Saint Garling, when we first saw Garling in the
Yeah.
manga, it was a huge reveal because people that knew the name Figaland were like, "Oh crap, that is Shanks's. That's someone related to Shanks." And then eventually it was revealed that it was his
Yeah,
son.
see, that was
That
lost on me because I hadn't watched
yeah,
this movie yet. So I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know the Figurlin name. I didn't know
exactly,
there was a
yeah.
significance
And
besides like, oh, celestial
but
dragons.
even in this, like if you that's such a throwaway line in this film, the Figaland stuff, like the fact that Shanks
Mm.
has a second, like almost like a lineage or second name or bloodline, then you're like, oh fuck, like that's such a throwaway thing. It's only like when you hear it all together, you're like, oh, okay, no, that makes sense now. That's the biggest hint there. And then yeah, like you said, like Shanks being found in the chest, and also Uta being found in a similar way.
Yeah.
Quite cool. It's like a good like kind of link and callback there. It's nice. It's quite a cool thing to. It doesn't really make as much sense when you think about where the story is currently with how Roger's design is, because in the movie Roger's
Yeah.
design, he has the big mustache, he has the hat and all that kind of stuff, and then in the manga currently in the God Valley moment with what we can assume Shanks ends up in a chest, Roger's design is completely different right now. He doesn't have the big mustache. He doesn't have like
Maybe he just
unless he
grows it
gains a mustache
overnight.
in yeah oh unless he grows that in like oh in the space of like a few hours or whatever. That is insane.
Hey man, some people got crazy genetics, you know.
Yeah,
It's
that's true. But yeah, I mean that's one thing, you know, that it checks out with that as well. So the
wait,
mustaches.
what if that's Roger's turns out Roger does have a devil fruit and his power is just like Bobo.
I like to think that it's not the mustache fruit, it's the nose hair fruit. That is literally just his like nose hair.
Just
That
his
is
nose
neither-
hair, yeah, he's just
Oh man, that's jealous. But yeah, like again, I think this is one that like as a One Piece fan, like it feels like kind of like a necessary watch. I feel like this is one where like just to get a bit more context in a few other things, I think would be beneficial. Again, maybe not like completely like oh you need to watch this alongside the series, but if out of most of them, maybe Gold and Red feel like the no sorry not Gold sorry Strong World and Red feel like probably the like if you
yeah.
were to say essential, I don't maybe not
Even
necessarily
then, I
essential, but
wouldn't even say Strong World is that essential.
no, it's just like you get a bit more
Just
understanding
because
of
of
Shiki.
Shiki, that's
Yeah, that
it.
is like
But like even then, I feel like you don't need this. Definitely is more of a if you're really a big One Piece fan and you want the extra lore and you want the extra stuff. And this actually goes back to a previous conversation we had in another episode of films I think this is like running that very fine line of separating the fandom because
Yeah.
this has lore dump and this has canon information, but you only get that information by watching this film. And that is part of that that previous conversation that I don't like. Because again, I'm not the hugest One Piece fan, but I do like One Piece. And yes, it was a throwaway line, but the revelation of Shanks being a figureland,
Hmm.
which granted you don't get context for until much later, even in the manga.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that until I watched this film, or I actually learned that from obviously part of the manga, watching
Hmm.
videos online and stuff.
Yeah.
But let's say I don't do any of that. I'm just a super casual One Piece fan. I drop in, I drop out. All of a sudden, this information at some point you might just be like, "When was this a thing?" And then someone comes along and tells you, "Oh, it was in a movie
Yeah.
that you had no interest in watching." You're just like, "Well, what the fuck?"
Yeah. I think it's not the most egregious kind of it. Like I think if there were
No,
like
but again,
yeah, I
this
get
is
what you mean.
that
Yeah.
very fine line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is just on the edge of being like, that's close to being a dick move, man. You
Yeah.
know?
It's like luckily it's like that kind of information that I don't want to say like what is essential information, what isn't, because in One Piece, any minor thing could be essential information. We've seen that
Yeah,
in the past.
you never know
It's
until
so tough to
Oda
tell. Yeah,
like drops that bomb and you're like,
yeah, and then
whoa.
it's like a throwaway thing from like about 700 chapters ago, and you're like, wait, what? Like that's the one
Man's
thing.
been teasing it since the beginning, and you're like,
Yeah.
what?
That's why you have to kind of pay like such close attention to this. And I think this is the thing with this film when it first drops as well. People weren't completely sure if it was canon or not until Oda came out afterwards and said like the events in the film aren't canon, but the characters
But Uta
themselves
is.
are. Yeah, that's the fun thing of it. So it's like obviously because where this takes place as well, like again, this is kind of post Wano. But obviously, where like it doesn't generally fit into the story. There's certain things like that wouldn't really make as much sense. Um,
Mm.
but like especially with like locations and characters and stuff like that, it's all a bit like all over the place with it. And that's just movies in general, though. That's one thing you piece
Yeah.
together where about that movie would fit in the timeline. But obviously, all you can do is the closest. So you're not going to be able to fit in exactly at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, unless you're
Yeah.
Dragon Ball, in which case it's like, oh, that is
That
the
literally
next
is
thing.
bang in the middle of like this this place in like this art. It's in between Cell, it's in between Freeze arc or whatever. Like
Well, I was
that's
talking
really
more like Super, like modern Dragon Ball, where it's just like, no, that's the next arc, that's the next one,
yeah. Or
that's
it's
the
like no,
thing.
that's in a completely separate universe. Like that kind of thing. At this point, it's like yeah, this character exists, but this is a separate timeline because that's Dragon Ball now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say it's hard for me to tell where I'd put this in like in order of all the five films. I still think Gold is probably my favorite. Maybe Strongworld still has a place in my heart with it though. In like this kind of thing, I kind of want to put it maybe third. Maybe put Film Red second. Zed and Strongworld on the same, and then I'd put Stampede last. I'd say. I think that's.
Yeah. Fair.
I think
Fair. I
that's
would have
yeah.
I would have put Zed and Red roughly in the same place, second or
Yeah.
third, and then Strong World, and then Stampede. Yeah, agreeably Gold is just like my
Yeah,
favorite one. It's the most fun
that's
one
the
to
thing that
watch.
caught me off guard the most out like rewatching all of these. It's like because I remember watching it and I was like, this movie is like crap. It takes too long, and I'm like, hold on a second, this actually is like the best one out of all of them. I'm surprised by that quite a bit. But I think that's just down to the villain. To be fair, I think that's the thing that kind of caught
Mm,
like that really sold me on it. Like the villain for that was good. And then yeah, Uta as a character is kind of like a character I don't really feel too passionate. In terms of villains, I think Zed was a great villain. I think one that kind of felt like quite, I don't know,
I
just
think Zed
a different
had
kind of villain compared to someone like Tesoro. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like and Shiki, like
I think Zed felt nice in One Piece in general because it's not just another pirate. You
yeah,
know, like a lot of the villains in One Piece, it's easy to just be like, well, because the
hmm
gold, it's the age of piracy, so they're just another pirate crew we've never run into before. But like, there are other factions going around, so it's nice to see someone that's like, I mean, okay, at the time, at least in context of the time period, I know if you're a modern One Piece fan, being
hmm
disillusioned by the world government and the system is not anything new or fresh because that's everyone.
yeah,
But like at the time, Zed is like one of the first times you're like, whoa, like a super well known, at least within the context of
hmm
the film.
yeah,
A Marine is like disillusioned and now he wants to like tear down the system. But he's not part of the Revolutionary Army or anything. He's doing it himself.
yeah.
That's what makes Zed or Zephyr like a cool character. Uta, I understand her motivation that she wants to create like a her own like safe world for everyone because she was a sheltered kid and then she learned about the world through essentially One Piece internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Through she learned through One Piece internet, and now she's like, it's not good out there. It's bad.
Yeah. It's like creating that safe space, but taking it to the next level. Like, okay, cool. Everyone gets a safe space, but you're all dying in the process is also like, oh, okay.
Well, it's Naruto, isn't it?
Yeah, it
It's
literally is
Madara. It's
Naruto.
literally the
It is
infinite Tsukuyomi. It's well, I'll
ah
put
yeah,
you
yeah.
in your own place, but your real version is kind of dead.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah, it's
Oops.
it literally is Infinite Suki. I never clocked it until this moment. That's quite funny. But for me, like just going through all these, like Douglas Bullet, easy the worst One Piece villain out of all these. Shiki again, just like realistically, just doesn't could have been done. I think he's like if it was done better in the modern time, Shiki would be a better villain. But at that point, it's like not great. But yeah, Tesoro top tier, I'd say for that
Yeah.
in terms of One Piece.
Even though he would, basically just Doflamingo with gold powers.
Yeah, literally just copied and pasted Doflamingo. That I mean, then Doflamingo was a good villain, so yeah, checks out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's solid. Ape someone else's style who's popular, apparently.
Yeah. So, wrapping this all up in a bow, Nath, we've watched all the modern One Piece films up to date right now. How do you feel about watching all these?
They're not bad, you know. I've I've put them sort of the same way I would put any other anime movies I've watched. They're fine, that as long as they I guess it's kind of the problem of anime movies in general
Mm-hmm.
that you can't really do anything too canon.
Yeah.
They could never truly really be that canon because then it's like, ah shit. Well now
Mm-hmm.
people have to go and watch the movie
Yeah.
or they miss out on information. So like when you don't make it canon, the stakes can be whatever they want, but it will never impact. So then you kind of don't care, and that's kind of why I feel like anime films in general are always just kind of like, they're all right, they're
Yeah.
fine.
It feels like trying to get an anime film these days. You can see why the anime film industry is moving towards the stuff that Demon Slayer and Chainsaw Man are doing, where they're just doing arcs in just a
Mm,
short movie form, because obviously that's the thing that's going to bring people to the cinemas more. Those that anime watchers aren't necessarily going to go to the cinema to just see a non-canon event these days. They
yeah,
want the kind of real stuff, and I think that's the way the movie stuff. That's the way it's moving. Arguably, Dragon Ball's kind of like that as well. With like, I mean, the Broly movie was just like canon
yeah,
event, just like that. Obviously, it's a different scenario because Dragon Ball's finished, but like overall, like I think like you said, it is. That's the problem with these at the moment. They're good watches. I think I don't feel as exhausted as I did watching the Dragon Ball movies back to back. Let's put it that way.
No, yeah, but we also did watch way more films back to
Yeah,
back
that was a
when we did
lot.
that.
Yeah, and like we dedicate an episode each to each of these movies, and it kind of feels like it's
Like, if you think about it, what each one of these roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours,
Mhm.
give or take.
Yeah.
We watched 5, whereas like before, we calculated it was like roughly 12 hours of Dragon
Yeah,
Ball
because
movies.
the
So
Dragon Ball movies were a lot shorter as well. Obviously, didn't include a whole load of mad backstory for the characters because they were just made for the movie. Just be like, oh, Goku takes on this person in this movie, or like Gohan takes on this person in this movie. Oh, he's dead.
no, we're replaying the events of something else, but with a movie villain.
Yeah, it's kind of just like. Yeah, but I always enjoy watching One Piece movies, mainly for the first time. Like I know, obviously, a lot of them are just like, oh, okay, it's just this thing this time, but yeah, I did enjoy going back and watching all these back to back though. I think it's fun to look back at these and be like, oh, actually, I quite prefer this one over this one. Right.
I was going to say, well, for you now
It's a
come out
very
with a
separate
wholly
thing.
new opinions.
Yeah.
So that was cool. You bring up a really good point. If you've never seen them before, like I haven't until now,
Mhm.
they are pretty fun. You know, they're enjoyable watches. I would actually recommend if you're interested and you've never seen them before, go and give them a watch. Just
Mm.
just to experience them. They are kind of different in a way. It's still very
Mm.
One Piece, obviously,
Mm.
but like these quicker, like self-contained stories are quite fun.
Yeah, it's like it's nothing groundbreaking, but it is also just kind of fun thing to do. Just go through them all, like you said, if like you like Nathan, and I've never seen it before. It makes sense for me. It's a little bit different because again I haven't seen stuff like Strong World or like Gold for like years at this point. So going back to them and like having them like change completely on the scale of what I thought. Yeah, it's always a good experiment to do. So 100% do that. But this brings our One Piece film series to an end. Maybe we'll do the other ones, but I'm not too sure about that. The ones
Oh
before,
man, I'm
yeah,
scared.
I
These are supposed to be the good ones as well.
yeah, these
so, like,
these are the good. Yeah,
I'm scared.
yeah. Maybe one time we'll go back and do the other One Piece movies, but we'll see about that. Anyway, this brings it all to an end. Let us know what you thought of Film Red. Let us know what you thought of all the One Piece movies in general. Is there any of the the really early non-canon ones that we haven't seen? Would you recommend any particular one? Let us know in those comments. And thank you again for listening. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button for future Cultured Boys videos. Check the links in our description. We have all of our podcast platforms down there. And we'll see you guys next time for another Cultured Boys episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.